Captain's Log Supplemental.
So, Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when we were watching those WRL events and some of those grid life events where you used to see the in-car video and it had like the cameras seeing front and back, but it also could see all the telemetry and everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the ones that we liked were taken by the Sentinel system. Remember James came on our podcast earlier?
Right.
You know, we have no excuse since he lent us one for trial and demonstration purposes. We should actually probably put that in one of our cars. Maybe two.
I really think we should.
I think we should.
I know.
Because then we'd look like the immature endurance racing team that we are. Oh, wait, I mispronounced that, didn't I? Sorry, my bad. We could
So what does the
have
Sentinel system do?
we could have 3 cameras with picture-in-picture. We could have, if we ever get the AIM system to work, open invitation to anybody from AIM to come on and give us a little bit of love. We need some help. And then we could have all our telemetry on there. And then we can have it streamed live into the paddock or around the world to our millions of fans. We're apparently very popular in Kenya right now. Don't know why, but that's fine. And it can integrate all the available race statistics from like Race Hero and everything. So we could actually see how we're doing on video. We wouldn't even have to carry around our phone anymore. Live.
I love it.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled 3 who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team. Dominating with Dawson.
Dominating with Dawson. I need some local knowledge from Dominating with Dawson.
Well, I'm local to right where I'm sitting, so let's see what I know.
You'll see. So last year we got to race with you. Well, we got to watch you race because we broke our car.
Yeah, I recall.
We were at the same place, same time in meet space. It was lovely.
Thanks for having me. Yes.
Did we suitably have the paddock prepared for you, or was it up to your standards?
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking to the guy who just sleep under the bed of his truck if they need to.
Not when we got you, buddy. So you are going to see us in June at this track. It's called VIR.
VIR.
Some people can't pronounce it, so they spell it VIR. But you know, if you really look at it, it's VIR. and Miss Vicki and I have never been there, so we were thinking we would take the opportunity for this Dominating with Dawson to talk to Dawson about. What are we getting ourselves into? Like, could we do like a virtual track walk almost?
Yeah, we could. It's I guess viewers or listeners could pull up a VIR track map and
yep. This is one you're not driving for, guys and girls.
Sorry?
Don't be driving when you're looking at the track map.
Don't be driving to listen to this one. Yeah, so we could do a pretty general track walk. I'm not the best at visualizing, but I'm pretty sure I could talk through a lap of VIR. So VIR is a big 3.4 mile track with 17 turns on the full course, which is what we'll be running.
Full course. So there's like 55 different courses there, it looks like.
It does. There's a north course, a south course, a grand course, a Patriot course kind of in the middle they do drifting on. But the full course is the most commonly used configuration. And that one's got 2 big long straightaways and a slightly shorter straightaway that goes under a bridge. The fret stretch that runs by the pits and the flag stands and the whole paddock down into turn 1 is a big kind of downhill straight and you're headed down to the turn one. I'm trying to look at this map you put up and see where I am. So
It's little.
yeah, so turn one is a big straightaway, but it's got a big bow in it right before start finish. So
Like
you
a
kind of
double
come.
apexy thing.
No, it's just a big bow. It's just kind of one big apex. You want to be right there. They got a little bit of curving right ahead of the start finish line. So if you're right next to that, you're fine. But you don't want to. It is still a little bit of an apex. And you can kind of have some advantage if you don't try to rim ride, don't try to ride all the way down to the center, but you can apex that little tiny bit of turn and almost straight away and have a little bit of advantage. But as it starts going downhill into the braking, the brake markers go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, arrow. And most cars that are braking pretty aggressively and aren't super fast, like pretty much any kind of club racing car, going to be braking somewhere around the 3.
Okay.
Braking hard around the 3. Depends on what you're driving. High horsepower cars going into turn 1 and 2 there can make sort of a diamond pattern, diamond it out and kind of
Okay.
and get make the big swing and get right back on the power after kind of that they make that diamond point.
Mm-hmm.
Momentum cars going into turn 1, you usually do a big squared off turn in and go right across that big broad turn 1 and sort of rim ride their way out where that turn 2 has a kind of that big increase in radius. You sort of ride the rim in a momentum car on your way over to turn 3.
Okay.
So you're going to track
we-
all the way. You're going to track all the way out if you're in a momentum car. If you're in a car with a bunch of power, like a Corvette or a Viper or something like that, in that turn 1, turn 2 complex, you're kind of using the diamond approach to get a little bit of extra brake zone, but also just honk that car around in a big sudden rotation because you got enough power to pull yourself up out of the hole. So you may not be tracking all the way out. You're not going to be tracking all the way out in that kind of car coming out of turn 2. You're just nailing the power heading toward turn 3. But everybody's in the same boat coming out of turn 2, headed toward turn 3. In a car without a lot of power, you can kind of stay mid-track.
Okay.
And then as your line kind of straightens out, I always advise everybody to visually line their vision up with the tech barn as they're heading into turn 3. You want to have your car lined up like you're driving right toward the tech barn, and you're going to do some amount of braking right there to get into turn 3, depending on how much speed you're building up. But you need a little bit of braking to reweight the nose and slow down a little bit. And I like to do a pretty early turn in, an early apex for turn 3 because getting out in that little straightaway between 3 and 4, you got that big green extra curb zone that they added recently. So I like to hit that apex a little early in turn 3 with the hope and understanding it's probably going to kick me all the way out into the green zone. But I want that because I want to hammer that throttle and use all that exit as extra straightaway between 3 and 4. So that's kind of how I do it, just to give myself the cheat and give myself a little bit of extra throttle time.
Okay. And then
between
4A and 4B look like 10A and 10B at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, a little bit like that. This is where you try to get into a little bit of the VIR magic, but between 3 and 4 can be a great passing opportunity, especially if there's kind of a big speed disparity between you and who you want to pass. That's an easy place to pull a pass, especially if it's somebody who's been there a lot and kind of knows, all right. Because a lot of people, if you're getting past, this is a good place to like, all right, let's get it done. Go ahead and just go by because you're not going to lose a lot on pace either way there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big track.
Yeah, it's pretty daunting. I think if I had started my road course career there and was like, "Hey guys, are you going to VIR?" after I've been doing this for 5 years and I'd heard about it, if I had known all the legend about VIR before I showed up, I think I would have been more intimidated by it. But since I started there, it's always been pretty normal. But I could see that coming here for your first time might be a little bit daunting. So
it looks like Vermont.
It does. It does look like Vermont.
With a we'll talk about the turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. That is Vermont. It's very happy to see me.
Yeah.
That's Montpellier or something right there.
Yeah.
So as you go between 3 and 4, you do a pretty late break to get into 4 and a late turn in. It's important to really rotate hard in there, but you're going to be turning on the back part of that apex. So it's a real late turn in across the back of turn 4 because you want to be lined up pretty straight to be able to immediately rotate right. Pretty immediately right into that turn 5 and 5A complex.
So you kind of give up turn 4A exit to get
yeah, that's right. I mean, you're still coming across. I use a ton of that inside curve on turn 4A.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it was 4A and 4B, but yeah. So turn 4A, I use a ton of that inside curve to help me get the car rotated out and get straight, and then you're immediately kind of roll the wheel right back over to get turned into 4B, and that's a little straightaway between 4B and 5A.
Mhm.
The hotel is right out there. The white hotel is right out next to you on the left. But you've got to do something to unload the car there, whether it's letting off the throttle, but you got to get the wheel straight and unweight the car. You come out of turn 4B all crossed up. And so
Okay.
you got to do something in there to unweight the car to get through that whole complex of 5. It's kind of crazy. So for me, if I'm driving a car that's got like an E46 or something like that, if you're driving the E46 there, that's a great coming out of 4B or into 4B or in that little straightaway. That's a good place to grab an early fourth gear shift. That also kind of does the thing we're talking about of like, unbinding the car. So you can kind of grab your early shift there because you don't need a ton of torque through there either. You're just kind of building pace and building throttle. So turn 5
A, B, C.
B.
Oh, A, B, and then 6A, B. I don't know. They got a lot of
I'm
A's and
trying
B's.
to squint and see this thing. I'm not used to these numbers.
They got turn 5A, turn 5B, and then turn 6A and
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm
6B.
looking at the red one. So yeah. So turn 5A, that's one where you've come across that little tiny straightaway. And turn 5A, you want to come across the very back of that. It doesn't make sense. It looks like geometrically, it looks like you should hit the natural apex of that.
Mhm.
But it's dirty out there. This is one of those little VIR magic spots where only way to get through 5A and then get through the rest of that 5 section into that straightaway is go real late on the back of the apex. So real late apex on the back of it on 5A, and that'll kind of unlock and push you straight for the rest of the way through there, all the way to the bridge straight.
Okay.
So once you get to the bridge straight, it's just a straightaway. Take as much or as little of those next kind of ensuing curves as you need to.
So on this
ahead.
track, Matt, after 5A, it looks almost like turn 5B, turn 6A, turn 6B. You're almost a straight S's kind of thing.
If you get your late apex through 5A out of the way, you can pretty much straight line your way all the way through that. A little bit of back and forth, but not much. I mean, if you nail it exactly right, it's pretty much a straight line. Just depends on curve avoidance. The straight line involves kind of jumping a little bit of curves, but it's nothing crazy. I mean, it's nothing that will upset the car. I do it.
Okay.
I mean, I turn everything I can into a straightaway, but this is the bridge straight. That little line going across there is the bridge.
Oh, that's the bridge. Okay.
Well, bridge straightaway somewhere between that last little kink and the bridge is where you'd probably be catching fifth gear in your car. Turn 7 is that first S, and it doesn't matter how you get there, but whether it's from being parallel to it as you drive up or if you drive over to it from across the track. But that first S, you want to have the curb on the left. You want to have that right next to your car. You don't need to be jumping it or anything like that, but you want to be all the way track left with that curb right next to your car, and that's going to unlock the rest of the S's for you.
On it or next to it?
Next to it.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt to be on it. It doesn't hurt to have your left side tires go across it, but you got to be there to have everything else go the way you want. And the curbs are flat out in just about everything. Reed's M3 and like a Spec E46, you can take the whole thing flat, but then it messes you up and it spits you out on the wrong side of the track at the very top. So, Miami Auto was definitely flat. The E30, I'm pretty sure we were flat through there. But
is this the uphill S's that people talk about?
We're talking about the uphill S's. So turn 7, 8, 8B, and 9.
9, yeah.
Those are the S's, and for the most part, a lot of people have to do a tiny little breathe getting up in the 9 just to get it to hork back over to the right. So the S's are flat out, and the faster the car, and if you want to hold flat out and your car's really fast, you're going to have to be committed to taking a lot more curb through the S's. So the faster you want to go, the more curb you need to take, and the more commitment there is. But your tires will hold you, the car will hold you. Unless we're talking about somebody going like, I mean, just about anything you can imagine should be fine going up here. The S's about 120, 125 without a problem. Okay. So you just got to be confident. You just got to hold your foot down. So
not flat out first time at the track, first time on first lap.
And my instructor, the first time I got to VR, she was like, I probably didn't do it my first lap, but she was like, she's like, you can drive. I'm gonna be out here watching you race when this is my instructor. She never slowed me down at all. I think I did. I think she right out of the gate, she's like, you can take this pretty much flat out. So it wasn't my first lap, but my first session, I figured out, oh hell, I can do this. But yeah, so that's how natural it is. I mean, it's daunting and but it's uphill. So the uphill helps you as far as catching you with the compression. And by the time you get to the top, you got to be kind of lining up. You want to be all the way to your track right. There's a little bit of a hump right there at the top of the S's. Going up to that hump is a great place to kind of brake. You want to lose a little bit of speed. The main thing you're doing is trying to reweight the nose so the car will accept an early rotation into turn 10. I like to turn in early for turn 10. It's a really fast turn. The fastest guys with the biggest wings are doing it a little over 100. I think we probably hit it about 90, early low 90s with Reed's car. But it's a fast turn, and you want to be all the way track right, coming all the way across to track left. I hit the curbs on the inside of the turn 10. I hit them early. I hit the very beginning, not the beginning where you jump off the hole, but you don't hit the hole. It's at the beginning of the curve. But I hit the early part of the curve going across 10, and it spits you all the way back out track right. You can't see. It's also kind of blind exit, so you're like, this feels crazy, but you feel like you're driving off the edge of the world. But at the bottom side of that, when you come out on the far right side of that, there's a hefty set of curves with kind of a raised outer curve. So it feels like falling into a catcher's mitt. But to do that right, you need to come off that hill with nowhere to go but land in that exit zone if you're fast. You know what I mean? You need to be on those curves coming out. It feels crazy, but once you've done it a few times, it shouldn't be that bad. But then you're arcing your way back up toward Oak Tree, which is what we call that turn 11 and 12.
Yep.
So Oak Tree's a set of two corners.
With no Oak Tree.
A guy in a Viper or a Porsche GT3 is going to come in there and a rim ride and then just honk it down to the apex of 12 and go. I have less power than that, and I like to cut distance in the cars I'm usually in. So I like to come across. I line up with the number boards for the 3-2. There's a 3-2-1 there. I line up with the number boards and brake between the 1 and the 2. And I like to take turn 11 like its own distinct apex. Like I cut across there and jump the shit out of that apex and let the car push all the way out track left right before I need to add a little more brake. If you're doing it right, I'm fast as shit through there, but I need to brake more to get the car to rotate into 12.
Right.
But I do as early rotation into 12 as I can. So I get all the way out track left, and then that's your big turn in, a little bit of brake, but turn in. You're mostly braking there just to put the weight back on the nose so the car will rotate around. But I want to get rotated and pointed toward 12 and on the throttle before I ever even come across or touch the curb at 12. And I want to touch that curb at 12 every single time because I've been trying to cheat physics in the world by getting, by kind of getting turned early there and getting on power. So I need to be coming across that curb just to kind of complete the arc I've created for myself and give myself some extra straightaway. So I want to be on the power before I even get to the apex at 12 because that's where I started my straightaway. I'm not trying to go across the apex.
Why do you need extra straightaway? It looks like that straightaway is pretty freaking long.
Because I'm always driving something with no power, and I need all the straightaway I can ever get. I know. Which I'm shocked you would even ask me that. But yes, that's the real deal. So you're just trying to get on power as early as you can any straightaway here because people are going to eat your lunch if everybody's got more power than you do.
You ready for my other dumb question?
What's that?
I look at track maps for VIR because we've never been there, and I'm starting to do my research for it. And it's got this turn 13 on the track map, right? See it like on the straightaway? Oh, that's a safety map. Okay. All right. I'll be dumb. I just can't figure out why turn 1 is one turn. It looks like 2 turns. But anyway, go on.
Oh, yeah. I've always thought of turn 1 as turn 1 and 2, and that sort of kink in the straightaway between 2 and 3 is just nothing. Anyway.
Yeah. It's weird.
So you're coming out on that big back straightaway. You want to be all the way to the left. You're eventually going to be kind of tracking back toward the right because your next turn is to the left on this one. But the back straightaway is the longest one where people build up most of their speed, and the brake zone is a downhill into an uphill. So it feels scary to brake super late. I think that's another one with a 5-4-3-2-1, maybe just a 3-2-1. But so for context, sorry, go ahead.
You braking on the downhill or you're braking on the uphill?
The numbers start while you're going downhill, but they continue as the uphill starts.
Mm-hmm.
And in most cases, you're going to be braking in the uphill portion. So you get a lot of help from the compression.
Okay.
That's also where you're going to build most of your speed. So, I think in our race car, like the E36 M3, we're probably going 130, 135 there. Mm-hmm. And then braking about the 1 if we're pushing it hard, in between the 1 and the 2 if we're not. So it feels like you're braking pretty late. For reference, my old no power but great handling spec Miata with really good brakes when I was running not the endurance brakes, but like the club racing brakes, and also R-comps when I was in that kind of setup with my Miata. So pretty well optimized to try to run fast. I could brake past the arrow. So 5-4-3-2-1 arrow, then I would brake at the end of the back straight and be totally fine. One of the big struggles at VIR, so you're using that brake zone. you're braking on the uphill at the end of the straightaway, and you want to kind of bend the car to the left because turn 13 is a left-hander, but you want the car to kind of just tend and follow that. You're not really trying to make that turn. You just kind of want to follow the trail of turn 13, and you're braking all the way up there. But the idea is to get it to where one brake application gets you squared away for turn 13 and then turn 14. And it's scary. Almost everybody gets themselves squared away to get into 13 and has to kind of do a little pedal dance and do a little more braking for 14. Ideally, you nail the timing and the distance to where it's just one big brake application that smoothly gets you through 13 and then slows you down enough for a roller coaster or 14. I guess 14 is roller coaster, 14 or 15. That's the roller coaster section. I'm not sure which one is technically the roller coaster or why it's called that. But turn 14 requires a pretty late apex. So you want a late apex turn 14 and then go right next to the curbs on turn 15. You don't want to be necessarily want or need to be on those curbs at turn 15, but as long as you're right next to them, you got another little mini straightaway between is that 15 and 16. So that's another little mini straightaway where you can let the car kind of straighten out. The school line is to go all the way straight there and then cut over from right to left hard to make 16. To me, I like to kind of get my car angled down. I drive straight over the left-hand curves. I brake a little bit before the curves going into 16, and then I like put my whole ass car on the curves on the left of 16, and I think I usually keep my foot on the brake while I'm doing that too. And hopefully I've slowed and angled myself enough where I can come off that curb in between 16 and 17. It's where you want to let off the brake and get turned in for 17 and nail the gas again. In a lot of cars, a lot of times with DE, they're teaching you to kind of get turned in there, wait till you feel the car settle at the bottom of 17 and then go. Right. But in my experience, road racing, is more about like get turned and slowed enough. You can't really wait for there is definitely a moment of hitting the bottom of hog pen or turn 17 where you can kind of hit that and you're sure you can go. But usually in that case, in race pace, usually you're kind of hustling it a little bit before that. But coming out of turn, going through turn 17 hog pen, you're usually starting to carry a fair amount of speed. And you don't need that inside curve very much. The curve that's more important to focus on coming out of 17, coming out of the hog pen onto the straightaways. I always want to make sure I've gotten myself on the right kind of arc to where my left side tires come out. So you exit left out of there onto the straightaway. I always run my tires on that exit curve. It's not a wide one. It's like a one tire width curve. But I know I've done it right. If my car gets spit out there and my left hand tires hit that curve, just like the exit onto the front stretch at Road Atlanta. You know what I mean? If I feel like I've hit turn 12 right at Road Atlanta, if I come out there, my tires are riding the exit curves. And it's the same way for me with the exit of hog pen. I want to know that I've maxed out my angle and my acceleration enough where I'm coming out riding that exit curve. And then you're back onto the straightaway where we started, where you're just coming out through third, fourth, and fifth. I can also run through all these and tell you what gear you're likely to be in. Do you want to do that?
No, I do. Okay. But the three things that I'd like that there's two separate things, but I like to prioritize them. So there's 1, 2, or 3 turns that are the key to lap time, and then there's usually 1, 2, or 3 turns that are the key to safety.
Okay.
What do you think they are for here? Like if you're focused on, I need to get through this lap and I'm going to work my way up, what turns would you approach from a safety perspective? Like I'm going to work my way up. And then which turns were the ones that are key to, I would think it's turn 12 to get.
I think there's a ton of time to be gained and lost in the S's. I don't think it's that much. It feels daunting, but it's not as big a safety thing as you might think once you kind of get the rhythm down. But how hard you push in the S's can gain you some time. But then again, as soon as you've maxed it out, that's all you got. You know what I mean? That's a place where, but there is some time to be gained, but it's finite. So once you got it, you're good. I would say there may not be that many consequential turns, but we know that any turn leading onto a straightaway, if you biff it, that can mess you up.
Yep.
So I think some of the key corners to think about are, turn 12 coming onto the back straight, making sure that's maximized. Hog pen coming onto the front straights, making sure you're maximizing your exit and your entry there. I'm trying to think of some other places where people can really be slow. Turn 3 is another place where it may not be great for time, but some people it's a good place to race people because you get a lot of people just over slow there or just don't know how fast they can go into there. Safety, the big safety place at VIR in my mind, and one of the places where I've seen the most kind of carnage is coming through turn 10. People kind of freak themselves out and get scared, and then they overreact in the car instead of just letting the car go off, in the direction of Oak Tree in that direction. They let it go off in the other direction. So going off track left over there is big downhill, and there's a wall right there. So I don't know if you watch the IMSA race, a lot of times you see wrecks on the way into Oak Tree, and it's because somebody ends up through some sort of fault, ends up on the left side of the track over there, and it's just a steep downhill right to a wall. So turn 10 is a place to be mindful of, but it's also, to me, it feels dangerous to go too slow there. So
Yeah.
you want to get your footing and your rhythm in turn 10, but also understand that's a place where if shit goes off, just let the car keep going off to the right.
Mm-hmm. Don't try to correct it. Did I lose you? Ben? I think we lost his headphones. Or his phone. Nope, I can see his face moving. His headphones have bit the dust.
I'm curious about where he caught air.
All over the place, knowing Ben.
Hey, did I come back? Can you guys hear me?
There you are.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Switched out my AirPods.
Welcome back to Dominating with Dawson.
Sorry about that. So yeah, switch to the other AirPod. It looks like we're back in business. So I'm not sure where I cut off.
You were saying turn 10. If you lose it, don't try to fight it and stay to the right.
Exactly.
Don't go left.
Yeah, exactly. So let the car go on off to the right. Don't overcorrect it and end up on the left side of the track, because that's a pretty dangerous place. It seems to me like people are starting to get a little exercised and worried about all the extra barriers and protection they've added toward the end of the backstretch and into hog pen or not, and into roller coaster. I haven't noticed it, but apparently there's been some people have hit it, so it's just more dangerous to screw up toward the end of the backstretch than it used to be. Coming out of hog pen and down through hog pen, especially if it's wet, those are areas where people can slide off and have big moments. That's where Danielle kind of had her big wreck with the AER last year, was kind of coming down through hog pen. I think she got crossed up. I've spun down in the middle of hog pen probably 15 years ago now in my Miata. Some guy was like talking to me about his son was my student, but he wanted me to take him out. The dad did this NASA weekend or something. But like as an instructor, what do they tell you, Bill? Don't spin it out if you're taking somebody out. If you take somebody out, don't be an idiot. I spun the car like you're almost right away to hog pen. I was like so embarrassed.
We'll let you lose.
So you can lose it there too.
Did I lose him?
Vicki, that was a long time ago. That was before people even knew me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Dawson, are you planning on attending the Lucky Dog festivities?
Yeah, I am. My wife is looking for a job, so that might be the only race I attend this year. So I'm definitely planning on coming to that one.
Yeah.
Well, if possible, if everything works out the way that we hope, we'd like to see you there for practice day, because we don't know what we're doing there.
Oh yeah. Actually, I think I'd probably do that.
All right.
But yeah. Also, I'm trying to think of other places to kind of look out for. There really aren't much. Just watch a ton of video. I mean, even I started at VIR before there was even YouTube. That's how long I've been going.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to find, videos on forums and sites of people who were driving. I mean, I'm talking like proto track videos, like just here and there. But I went and found somebody in a really early spec Miata. This was like 2005, the first time I went. But I went and found somebody in a car similar to mine and watched what they were doing getting around VIR. So I kind of knew, I wanted to know what to expect when I got there. So if you watch a ton of video and have a good understanding of where the track is going and where you think your car is going to be, it won't be a big upset when you get there.
All right. Yeah. Miss Vicki, you got questions? You got that all committed to memory? You ready to go hit the
No, that's a lot, but I'm willing to give it a go.
It's only 17 turns, dude. You can't call them back. Call them out.
You know which one you caught air at?
Me?
Yeah, there was this picture of you with a car that caught air.
Oh, with the wheels way up in the air.
Yeah.
2 wheels up. Yeah, that's coming out of Oak Tree. I hit that curve, the last curve, so turn 12. There's like a shallow turn and a tight turn at Oak Tree. The tight turn leads you onto the backstretch. If I'm living right, I got that car hiked up and bound up and turned around right there. By the time I hit that curve hard as shit, it's just one of those where it's like a slight curve and then a steeper curve, or it goes from kind of like small to big. But if I get in a big enough piece of that curve, you better believe I'm bicycling that shit out of that corner. Yeah, so definitely there's definitely a few pictures of me with we're picking the wheel up, and that's like become a badge of honor among the team. It's like everybody wants to get the picture coming out of the oak tree with their wheel up, you know.
You
But I
know
mean,
what
to me,
picture?
at least in my estimation, that's how I know I'm hitting the turn right. Is if I got the wheel hiked way up. You need me to send you a picture, Bill, so you can put it with with the show notes.
Absolutely.
I'll see if I can find it.
You know what you know what I'm hoping for the picture of, Ben?
What's that?
The picture of our car looking the exact same way going into the trailer at the end of the weekend. That's my picture.
That's the best kind of picture to have from a race weekend.
Exactly. If my
Under
car is
its
in
own
the air,
power, even better. Even better if
if
it's under its own power.
yeah, that would be a change, yeah.
I
Well, someday you'll get to drive our car, Ben. We'll get you
can't
there.
wait.
Yeah.
Hey,
We're getting there. We're I felt so bad for that race. Oh my God. When we
I
lost
felt
You
the
that
great.
bottom
I
end
felt
of the
great because
engine.
I don't know if y'all remember, I showed up and we won, so I felt great about that race.
I know, but we weren't really participants.
I
It
just
was,
I felt great. You guys felt less than I good than I did. Sorry about that, but that's
yeah,
what's up. That's what's up.
she felt
Nah,
bad that weekend after I'd been there 2 straight weekends to pit race with the same problems. But it's
oh
cool.
man,
yeah. And we thought we kind of were able to fix it. We took that car, we went and had it worked on, not by a race shop.
but you guys do know the race shop guy. It was so funny that I discovered that you guys are tied in with that like pretty high level BMW race shop.
The one thing we've learned after these many years of racing, which is not any uh, thing compared to your racing, the one thing we've learned is we know when our limitations have been exceeded,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
we punt it to somebody who has much higher limitations.
And you know
Well,
what? That could be
what's
just sheer, we just can't get to it. You
that,
know,
that can be sometimes your
we got
limitation is time.
lifing going on.
Sometimes your limitation is time. Sometimes it's knowledge. Sometimes it's capacity. You know,
Exactly.
I get it, dude. Give yourself a pass. There's no badge of honor that says you need to do all this
No.
work on the car yourself. And I mean, a lot of times that's messed me up. Where I'm like, I feel like I'm less than if I can't do X, Y, or Z on a car. I'm like, wait a minute, Ben.
I could send it out.
You can that, and also Ben, you can drive the piss out of a race car, and that's what it's about. I'm like, okay, I feel better. Like immediately, I'm
Yeah,
able to go.
right.
All right, I can snap out of this because I can drive the fuck out of a race car, so I'm good.
Yeah, we sent them down for like tire work. I'm like, could you just change the oil and check the fluid so I don't have to do that?
I
Just
mean,
get it done.
if they're gonna have it on a lift, you might as well, right?
Yeah. Could you guys do that?
But when you're
I
doing
hear you.
multiple cars, you sometimes you're driven to drink.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, we know VIR now. Miss Vicky's got it committed to memory. She's going to go out
I
there and
do
start
the whole
setting some
thing.
lap records. Because I know one thing, Ben. I can guarantee her first lap will be her fastest lap there
Oh, come on.
ever. It may
Do
get
you want me to,
broken later, but the first lap will be her fastest,
do
guaranteed.
you want me to do you want me to tell you what gear you're gonna be in these different corners, or you just want to free ball it?
How about
Uh,
third?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
third in every corner for you, Vicky.
no, Miss Vicky, you're going to be in fourth and maybe fifth. This may be the first track where you're allowed to use fifth, and you're actually supposed to use fifth.
Yay.
She's like, I can't get into fifth. We're like sitting there in the pit going, why is she using fifth? Where's there's no place on this track you need fifth. What is she doing?
Bill's just like, just drive the car.
All right,
Shut
this is gonna be
up
fun.
and drive. Yep.
You there, shut up and drive the car.
If I wanted your opinion, I'd give it to you.
I used to have a boss that would say that. And this guy was also funny enough where you can pull it off, but yeah, not
Yeah.
everybody can pull that off, can they?
I had one boss who was not quite so funny. He said, "You know how they always say you can't make a horse drink. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make a drink." I said, "Hell yeah, I can. I just stick a hose down his throat and turn that faucet. Well, he didn't say faucet on,
Mm.
and he'll drink." I'm like, "Yep, that's how you manage to." Yep.
Yeah, that's a great way to take care of your people that you want to do stuff for you.
Yeah, baby. He was a spectacular dude. Anyway,
That's funny.
well, I feel like we got a chance at VIR. I think we're going
Yeah.
to do a little video study, and we'll look forward to seeing Miss Kathy and all her friends, and we will see Dominating with Dawson in person.
That's right. It's gonna be a triumphant, fun time. I'm so excited that Lucky Dog has claimed this as a next place. Because it's funny. I'm not sure if I related this to you, but me and Greg, her husband, Kathy's husband, Greg, and I go back to like racing a Lemons car with this guy Argo. And we were racing a Lemons car at Chump Race in Las Vegas. This was before Lucky Dog. This was when Kathy was still running. a jump racer. But that's how far me and this guy Greg go back. We've raced at least that one car together, and then we raced together at pit race. We had a lot of time standing around the garage trying to fix stuff and BSing about where all the Lucky Dog has been. Because I was just like, man, I think it's awesome. You guys are going to Barber and y'all got VIR locked down. And he started talking back through some of the places they've been. And like in my mind, Lucky Dog is still a nascent new series, right?
It
You know,
is,
just
yeah.
because, well, but it is, it isn't. You know, in the scope of things, shit. At this point, they've been around more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And you know, and back when they started, Lemons hadn't been even been around for 10 years. So it's all relative. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So they've been doing their own thing for a long time, and they've been to a lot of places. They had like at least 2 or 3 different street courses in Mexico that they've been to and run. Some of them more than once. You know what I mean? So and
Mhm.
you just start telling about all the tracks they've been to. Some of them they keep going to, some of them they haven't been back to. But it really surprised me. They've snuck by a few places that I wasn't aware of. But I love seeing them showing up more and more on the East Coast. I kind of worried. I was like, yeah, maybe it'll be too much trouble for them, or maybe they won't be able to find footing in the Eastern, Eastern market, or maybe there'll be too much tribalism to kind of let them in and be successful. But I think Lemons and Champ Car have done enough things to sort of limit their own competition to where Lucky Dog finds a nice void where people can come with a little bit faster car. They don't have to worry about bringing something nice and to the track, and they don't have to worry about going too fast or something like that. So it's I think Lucky Dog fits a nice place, a nice segment of the market where people are annoyed with certain aspects of Lemons, and Chump can bring their cars to that. But also you have club racers showing up, bringing their relatively nicer club racing cars without as much worry about getting them messed up in a big endurance racing melee with some of the other groups.
Yeah. I think they all have enough different flavors that they all can live happily.
Yeah, I agree. I specifically am saying all that to say I'm happy to see Lucky Dog in its relatively newness doing so well. It's exciting because they're great people. I love the people. It's nice to see people you like doing well.
Yep, indeed. I guess we've babbled enough for Dominic Dawson.
Yeah, I think we have.
Thank you, sir.
We did it.
Good one.
Thank you guys.